There are American coastal towns in 2026 where you can still buy an actual house for under $50,000. Not a shed, not a parking space. An actual home with walls, a roof, and proximity to water. And before you ask, yes, there is always a catch. But if you are tired of watching your rent consume half your paycheck while living nowhere near an ocean, these catches might be worth it. We are counting down 14 coastal gems where housing markets collapse so hard that $50,000 buys property. Some are Gulf Coast towns still recovering from hurricanes a decade later. Others are Rust Belt ports where the factories closed and everyone left. A few are so remote that your nearest grocery store requires planning. And one town has more abandoned houses than occupied ones, which creates opportunity if you are the kind of person who sees potential instead of decay. Think waterfront living is only for millionaires? Cool. Let us see if you are ready for places where being near water comes with job markets that evaporated infrastructure held together with duct tape and hope, and the understanding that cheap always means something broke and never quite recovered. Like this video if you have ever realized the American dream might still exist, just not where anyone is currently looking. Subscribe because one day you will want to know where coastal property is so cheap it feels like a glitch in the housing market. And this channel is your guide to America's forgotten coastlines with actual research instead of real estate fantasy. Let us break it down. Number 14, Port Arthur, Texas. Port Arthur sits on the Texas Gulf Coast with refineries, petrochemical plants, and housing so cheap you will wonder if they are giving it away. This city of about 55,000 people has been hammered by hurricanes repeatedly. Harvey in 2017, Rita in 2005, Ike in 2008. Each storm sent people fleeing who never came back. The housing market reflects that exodus. You can find homes under $50,000 regularly. Some need work, others are livable immediately. The median home price hovers around $85,000, meaning deals below $50,000 exist if you look. The catch is you are living in a refinery town. The air quality is not what anyone would call pristine. The skyline is smokestacks. The economy depends entirely on petrochemical work, which pays well if you are in the industry and offers nothing if you are not. Hurricane risk is constant and real. Insurance costs reflect that reality. Every summer you are watching the Gulf, hoping this is not the year another Category 4 decides to visit. One person who bought property there said they paid $42,000 cash for a 3-bedroom house 6 blocks from the water. The house needed cosmetic work but was structurally sound. Their mortgage is zero. Their property taxes are under $1,200 annually. But they also keep hurricane supplies year-round, and the refineries light up the night sky in ways that feel more dystopian than romantic. The upside is the community that remains is tight-knit. People who stay know what they signed up for. Local restaurants serve authentic Cajun food that costs nothing. The fishing is phenomenal if you do not mind industrial backdrops. In short, Port Arthur offers genuinely cheap coastal housing if you can handle industrial surroundings, hurricane risk, and an economy tied to one sector. Can we acknowledge the refineries? Port Arthur is a petrochemical hub. That means jobs for skilled workers and constant smells for everyone. Some days the air smells like sulfur. Other days it is something chemical you cannot identify. You adapt or you leave. That is the trade-off. The good news is if you work in petrochemical, the pay is solid. Benefits are real. You can save money fast when housing costs almost nothing. Picture your $45,000 house with a porch where you can hear the Gulf. You own it outright. Then a flare-off lights the sky orange at 2 a.m., and you wonder if cheap housing is worth living next to industrial infrastructure that occasionally reminds you it exists. Number 13, Gary, Indiana. Gary is not oceanfront, but it sits on Lake Michigan, which makes it coastal enough for this list. Once a booming steel town with over 175,000 residents, Gary now has fewer than 70,000. Entire neighborhoods are abandoned. Homes sell for under $10,000 in some areas, with better properties available under $50,000. The lakefront itself is actually beautiful. Indiana Dunes National Park is nearby with beaches that rival anywhere. The Miller Beach neighborhood has homes near the water where you can find deals. The median home price is around $70,000, with foreclosures and neglected properties going much cheaper. The challenge is Gary's reputation and reality. Crime rates are high. The tax base collapsed when the steel industry died. City services are stretched thin, schools struggle, but if you are remote working or retired and strategic about neighborhood selection, you can live near Lake Michigan for almost nothing. Someone who relocated said they bought a house in Miller Beach for $48,000. It needed updates, but the bones were solid, and they are 3 blocks from the lake. They work remotely, avoid certain areas, and live near freshwater coast for less than most people pay in rent annually. They joined a neighborhood association working to improve things. Community gardens are popping up in vacant lots. Artists are converting old buildings into studios. The city is trying to revitalize, but progress is slow. If you need thriving infrastructure and bustling community, Gary is not ready. If you want cheap coastal access and can create your own community, it offers opportunity. In short, Gary provides Lake Michigan access at prices that seem impossible because the city lost most of its economic base and never fully recovered. The abandonment is real. Gary has thousands of vacant structures. Entire blocks sit empty. It is post-industrial decay on a scale that is both depressing and fascinating. But that decay created housing costs so low that people are starting to return, particularly artists and remote workers who see cheap space as opportunity. Picture a solid home for $40,000 near Lake Michigan. You are watching sunsets over freshwater that feels like an ocean. Your costs are almost zero. Then you drive through parts of the city that look apocalyptic and remember why the housing was cheap. Number 12, Pritchard, Alabama. Pritchard is just outside Mobile on the Gulf Coast with a population around 19,000 and housing costs that make you question if the market broke. This city has struggled economically for decades. The median home price is under $60,000 with many properties well under $50,000. You are close enough to Mobile for services, but far enough that costs drop dramatically. The Gulf beaches are 30 minutes away. The catch is Pritchard has high poverty rates, limited job markets, and infrastructure that shows the strain. But if you are working remotely or have income from elsewhere, you can live near the Gulf for almost nothing. City leadership is working on revitalization, but it is a slow process. One buyer said they purchased a 3-bedroom house for $35,000. It needed paint and minor repairs, but was livable immediately. They have no mortgage, taxes are under $800 yearly, and they are close enough to Gulf shores for beach access whenever they want. The community is small and tight-knit if you engage, and the cost of living is so low, they are saving more than they ever could elsewhere. They shop at local farmers markets. The pace of life is slower than anywhere they lived before. Southern hospitality is real here. Neighbors actually talk to each other. In short, Pritchard offers cheap Gulf Coast proximity if you accept economic challenges and focus on low costs over amenities. Hurricane risk exists here too. You are on the Gulf and storms come through. Preparedness is necessary, and insurance is expensive when you can get it. But Mobile Bay provides some protection from direct hits. Evacuation routes are well marked. The community knows the drill. Picture a home you own outright for $38,000 near the Gulf. Your monthly housing costs are property taxes and insurance. You are building savings. Then hurricane season starts and you are calculating if cheap housing is worth the existential dread of tracking tropical systems. Number 11, Benton Harbor, Michigan. Benton Harbor sits on Lake Michigan with about 9,000 residents and housing so cheap it barely qualifies as a market. Once a thriving industrial town, it has struggled for decades with population loss and economic decline. Homes under $50,000 are common. Some sell for under $20,000. The lakefront is genuinely beautiful. St. Joseph is the wealthier neighbor right next door, creating a stark contrast. You are on Lake Michigan with beaches, sunsets, and freshwater coast. The challenge is job opportunities are limited, the tax base is weak, and services reflect that reality. But for remote workers or retirees with outside income, Benton Harbor offers coastal living for almost nothing. One person who moved said they bought a house for $32,000 cash. It needed work, but they did most of it themselves. They are 2 miles from Lake Michigan beaches, where homes cost 20 times what they paid. Their property taxes are under $1,000 yearly. They live near freshwater coast for less than most people spend on a car payment. Summer brings art fairs and farmers markets. The beaches fill with families. Fall colors rival anywhere in America. Winter is harsh but manageable if you prepare. In short, Benton Harbor provides Lake Michigan access at prices that make sense only because economic decline made housing nearly worthless. The contrast with St. Joseph is jarring. Cross the river and home prices jump to $300,000 and up. It is economic disparity visible in real time. But that disparity creates opportunity if you are positioned to take advantage. You can live in Benton Harbor and enjoy everything St. Joseph offers minutes away. The beach does not care which side of the river you came from. Picture your Lake Michigan home bought for $30,000. You are watching summer sunsets over water. Costs are almost zero. Then you drive 5 minutes to St. Joseph and see what the same location costs when the zip code changes. Number 10, Helena, Arkansas. Helena sits on the Mississippi River in the Arkansas Delta with around 11,000 people and housing that costs less than a used car. This is Delta Blues country with deep cultural history. The median home price is under $50,000. Many homes sell for $20,000 to $30,000. You are on the Mississippi River with river views available cheap. The challenge is the Delta has been economically depressed for generations. Jobs are scarce. The town has struggled with population loss. But if you appreciate history, music culture, and genuinely cheap riverside living, Helena offers it. The King Biscuit Blues Festival happens annually, bringing the town to life. The rest of the year, it is quiet, slow, and affordable. One person who relocated for remote work said they bought a historic home for $28,000. It needed updates, but the character was incredible. They live on the Mississippi for almost nothing, work online, and have become part of a small community that values people willing to invest. Historic downtown buildings tell stories of cotton trade glory days. The Delta Cultural Center preserves history worth knowing. River sunsets are spectacular and free. In short, Helena provides Mississippi River living at costs that reflect deep economic challenges and create opportunity for people with outside income. Delta culture is real and rich. Blues history runs deep. But so does poverty. You are moving into a region that has struggled economically for a long time. If you are looking for cheap coastal living with cultural depth, Helena offers it. If you need economic opportunity, it will not provide that. The catfish is fresh and cheap. The people are genuine. The history surrounds you constantly. Picture a historic home on the Mississippi, bought for $25,000. You are watching river traffic from your porch. Your costs are almost zero. Then you realize the nearest major city is an hour away, and job opportunities locally are nearly non-existent. Number 9, East Chicago, Indiana. East Chicago is another Lake Michigan city where industrial decline created housing deals. About 27,000 people live here in a city that once supported twice that. The steel industry collapse hit hard. Homes under $50,000 are available, some needing work, others move-in ready. You are on Lake Michigan with beach access. The catch is East Chicago has faced environmental issues. Lead contamination in some neighborhoods led to major cleanup efforts. You need to research carefully before buying, but areas that are clear offer cheap lakefront proximity. One buyer said they purchased a home for $45,000 in a safe area near the lake. They did environmental checks first. The home was solid. They are on Lake Michigan for less than a down payment elsewhere. The city provides environmental reports to concerned buyers. Cleaned areas are certified safe. New parks replaced contaminated zones. Progress is visible if you know where to look. In short, East Chicago offers Lake Michigan access cheap if you do your research and choose carefully. Environmental history is real here. Lead contamination affected some neighborhoods. Cleanup happened, but you must verify before buying. Due diligence is not optional. Testing is available and affordable. Transparency has improved significantly. The city wants people to return and invest in safety verification. Picture a home for $42,000 near Lake Michigan. You are close to the water. Costs are low. Then you remember to check environmental reports because history matters when industries leave contamination behind. Number 8, Port Sulfur, Louisiana. Port Sulfur is deep in Louisiana's bayou country south of New Orleans. Hurricane Katrina and subsequent storms devastated the area. The population is around 1,700, down from over 3,000 before Katrina. Housing is incredibly cheap. Homes under $50,000 exist because people left and never returned. You are surrounded by water, bayous, and Gulf access. Fishing is incredible. The culture is deeply Cajun. The catch is you are in one of the most hurricane-vulnerable areas in America. Below sea level, surrounded by water directly in storm paths. Insurance is expensive or unavailable. Infrastructure is limited. But if you want bayou living cheap and accept the risks, Port Sulfur offers it. One person who moved said they bought a raised house for $38,000. It survived previous storms. They fish daily, live simply, and accept that hurricane season means preparing to evacuate. Their costs are almost zero outside insurance. Fresh seafood is a daily reality. They eat redfish and speckled trout they catch themselves. The sunsets over wetlands are otherworldly. The ecosystem is alive in ways city people never experience. In short, Port Sulfur provides cheap Gulf region living if you can accept extreme weather risk. The bayou culture is rich and unique. You are living in an ecosystem found nowhere else. But that ecosystem includes hurricanes that can erase everything. The people who stay understand the gamble. They value the lifestyle enough to risk everything. Community bonds form when everyone shares the same vulnerabilities. Picture your bayou home bought for $35,000. You are fishing from your porch. Life is simple and cheap. Then a tropical system forms and you are boarding windows while questioning your housing choices. Number 7, Ashtabula, Ohio. Ashtabula sits on Lake Erie with about 18,000 residents and a harbor that once made it a shipping hub. The shipping industry declined and the population followed. Homes under $50,000 are available throughout the city. The lakefront has properties with views. The median home price is around $75,000, meaning deals exist below that. You are on Lake Erie with beach access and beautiful summers. The challenges, economic opportunities are limited. Winters are brutal with lake effect snow measured in feet. But if you can handle cold and work remotely, Ashtabula offers Great Lakes living cheap. One buyer purchased a home for $47,000 near the harbor. They work online, embrace winter, and live on Lake Erie for almost nothing. Summer brings festivals and concerts. The harbor hosts tall ships and sailing events. Local wineries dot the area, offering affordable tastings. Fall foliage along the lake is breathtaking. Spring arrives late but spectacularly. In short, Ashtabula provides Lake Erie access if you accept economic decline and harsh winters. Lake effect snow is no joke. Ashtabula gets buried annually. If you hate winter, this is not your place. If you do not mind it, cheap lakefront living is yours. Snowblowers are essential equipment. Warm coats become a lifestyle. But winter turns Lake Erie into stunning ice formations worth seeing. Picture a Lake Erie home for $45,000. Summer is beautiful, then winter drops 8 feet of snow and you remember why it was cheap. Number 6, Eastport, Maine. Eastport is the easternmost city in the United States with about 1,300 people on the Canadian border. It is remote, cold, and homes under $50,000 exist. You are on the Atlantic with incredible coastal scenery. The catch is isolation, harsh weather, and limited jobs. But if you want rugged coastal Maine living cheap, Eastport offers it. One person bought a home for $49,000 with ocean views. They work remotely and embraced isolation. The tides here are among the highest in the world, sometimes exceeding 20 feet. Whale watching happens from your porch. The fishing industry still operates, providing fresh lobster and seafood. Summers are cool and perfect, winters are long and test your resolve. The community is small but welcoming to people willing to contribute. Local artists find inspiration in the stark beauty. In short, Eastport provides Atlantic coast living if you can handle extreme remoteness. You are closer to Canada than most American cities. The nearest traffic light is in another town. Fog rolls in thick and mysterious. The lighthouse guides ships through channels that have seen centuries of maritime history. Picture ocean views for $48,000. It is beautiful and isolated. Your nearest city is hours away. Number 5, Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Pine Bluff is on the Arkansas River with about 40,000 people and homes under $50,000. Economic decline hit hard when paper mills and other industries closed. The median home price is around $65,000, with deals well below that. You are on the river cheap if you accept challenges. One buyer paid $33,000 for a riverside home. It needed work but had good bones. They renovated slowly while living there. Property taxes are under $700 yearly. The Arkansas River provides recreation and fishing. The town has history dating to the 1800s as a river port. Civil War sites surround the area for history enthusiasts. The downtown shows signs of revitalization efforts. New businesses are slowly opening. Community organizations work on improvement projects. The cost of living is so low that even modest income provides comfortable living. But job opportunities remain limited unless you work remotely or have outside income. In short, Pine Bluff offers river living for almost nothing if you create your own opportunities. Number 4, Newburgh, New York. Newburgh is on the Hudson River with homes under $50,000 in rougher areas. You are near NYC with river views and Metro North access, making the city reachable. One buyer found a fixer for $46,000 with potential. The home needed significant work, but the location was solid. They renovated over 2 years. Now they live on the Hudson for less than a studio apartment costs in Brooklyn. The riverfront is being redeveloped slowly. Historic buildings showcase beautiful architecture waiting for restoration. The view of the Hudson Highlands is spectacular from anywhere in town. Storm King Art Center and West Point are nearby. You can commute to New York City if necessary, though it takes patience. Local restaurants are opening as young people discover the area. In short, Newburgh offers Hudson River access cheap if you choose carefully and do not mind sweat equity. The contrast between neighborhoods is dramatic, so research is essential before buying. Number 3, Chester, Pennsylvania. Chester is on the Delaware River near Philadelphia, with a population around 33,000. Homes under $50,000 exist despite proximity to major cities. Economic struggles created deals that seem impossible. This close to Philly. One person bought for $41,000 and commutes to Philly via regional rail. The home needed cosmetic updates but was structurally sound. They are 15 miles from Center City, Philadelphia, living in a river town for almost nothing. The waterfront has seen some development with a soccer stadium and businesses. The city struggles with the same issues as similar places, but location provides advantages. You can access Philadelphia, Wilmington, and the Jersey Shore within 30 minutes to an hour. Property taxes are higher than rural areas' rates, but still manageable. The Delaware River provides scenery and recreation. If you work in Philadelphia but cannot afford city housing, Chester offers proximity at prices that allow saving money. In short, Chester provides river access near cities for almost nothing if you accept urban challenges and focus on the location advantage. Number 2, Algiers, Louisiana. Algiers is across the river from New Orleans, technically part of the city, but feeling separate. Post-Katrina properties still sell under $50,000 in certain blocks. You are minutes from New Orleans, living cheap with ferry access to the French Quarter. One buyer paid $44,000 for a home with character. It needed updates, but had original hardwood floors and high ceilings. They renovated while living there. Now they take the ferry to work in the quarter for $2. The neighborhood has Creole cottages and shotgun houses full of architectural character. Jazz history runs deep here. Mardi Gras Indians practice nearby. Local restaurants serve authentic New Orleans food without tourist prices. You are in New Orleans without paying New Orleans housing costs. The ferry ride provides incredible skyline views daily. In short, Algiers offers New Orleans proximity cheap if you choose your block carefully and embrace the character. Number 1, Cairo, Illinois. Cairo sits where the Mississippi and Ohio rivers meet with a population that dropped from 15,000 to under 2,000. Homes sell for under $10,000 regularly. You are at a historic river junction where housing costs almost nothing because everyone left. One person bought a historic home for $18,000. The town is mostly abandoned, but the location is incredible if you want solitude. The architecture tells stories of a prosperous river town from the 1800s. Massive homes sit empty, waiting for someone with vision. The rivers converge in a geographical point that is genuinely significant. Civil War history is everywhere. Mark Twain wrote about Cairo. The abandonment is almost total, but that creates opportunity for people who see potential. Property taxes are nearly zero. You can own multiple buildings for the price of a used car. But you are alone. Services are minimal. The nearest grocery store is a drive. This is for people who want extreme solitude and river views, where two of America's greatest rivers meet. In short, Cairo offers the cheapest coastal living in America because the town essentially died, creating opportunity for those brave enough. Picture a home for $18,000 where two major rivers meet. It is beautiful, historic, and almost empty. Would you take a $50,000 coastal home if it meant accepting economic decline, weather risks, or isolation? Drop your answer below. Like this video if you just learned coastal living is still possible on a budget. Subscribe because knowing where affordable waterfront exists might change your future. These towns are real. The prices are accurate for 2026, and most Americans will never know their options.